Africa has unique opportunities. Our problems, if you rank them, we got challenges in the health sector, and if we go there, our inefficiencies are unique. If you look at some of like the energy sector, the problems we have are very different, but also the opportunities we have are unique. Then, and more importantly, the way the building blocks of AI, from the type of data to solve for these problems, the type of infrastructure required, the way we upskill people, the ethical and responsible considerations become unique. And that is construct of African artificial intelligence.
Dr. Nasila, welcome to the Angle podcast. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for making the time. You're a Chief Data and Analytics Officer at F&D, the Risk Department. For someone who just had this title for the first time, what does that mean?
So the risk function within the group is responsible for guiding, advising, and making sure that the organization is managing various risks proactively, effectively, and making sure it keeps up with the regulatory requirements. As a chief data analytics officer in that function, my role is to making sure that data, AI, and other related capabilities are helping spearhead that strategy, enabling that strategy by, making sure data is at the center of driving proactiveness, the way we identify risks, being effective and efficient, the way we assess them and make decisions, but also just keeping up with the complex evolving requirements that comes from regulators. We're a regulatory organization, and every single day, every single year, regulations are becoming complex, and the old way of keeping up and monitoring them do not work. This is why we automate and use technology to keep up with them.
And how has that been? I mean, keeping up with regulation is generally quite a dance. Governments are struggling to regulate. How do you keep up in an environment that just constantly keep shifting? I mean, the goalpost is not always the same.
Yes. So regulations define our business, construct of how we provide services and products. But at the same time, these are not just rules. Some of them actually represent how we conduct ourselves to customers, practicing fair business, offering them products in line with their needs and not just products. So for us, these regulations are also a way of building trust. Having said that, we run a business, we want an actual create value for our shareholders and our customers. It's not easy, especially when some of them are operational. We have to monitor how we price products, how we charge customers, how we interact with them, and how we keep up with the promise. If someone promises you something and they don't deliver, it compromises your trust.
Right.
Right? But also it compromises the value of everything. But as an organization, we've been at the center of innovating how we do this. We've got lots of areas across the bank that are not just reimagining the business of banking, but also how we provide these services, from digitizing how you engage, using data and technology to build customers' profiles and recommend that products. In the risk department, where I'm servicing or supporting, and on an annual basis, data and algorithms are helping us prevent almost 2 billion rand worth of fraud every year.
2 billion.
Without this algorithm, we would actually not meet those. We'll not actually be able to cash the corporate funds because the funds are moving around so fast. We're now using what are called small language models to write forensic reports. The things that used to take days. Today, we process over 220,000 investigations with AI. I'm afraid to tell you that our processes have changed. The way we work today is people are at the end of making decisions as opposed to them gathering information and making decisions. I talked about regulations.
Right.
We're a big organization. Imagine having to monitor every aspect of banking manually. What are you doing? How did you charge the customer correctly? Did you have a correct conversation? And this is where data is coming. So instead of people, almost approaching the old way of investigating things that are failed, We're using technology to do that, and people now are spending time engaging in business areas, solving where issues have been identified. Having said that, I mean, just a few days ago, we won a couple of awards because of how we're leveraging AI to modernize and your banking, offering
Right.
a digital experience. And this is testament to the fact that our business has now become innovation.
Good.
To build this context, we're making sure that AI and other technologies are helping us, be there for the customer, proactive, and provide the right experience.
Ooh, that's quite a lot. There is a company I will not mention by name, but I think you would be very well aware of them. They are currently operating in Australia. Well, the one that's involved in this case is operating in Australia. They wrote a report using AI, similar to what you just explained now, that using. But in this report that this company wrote, there was a lot of hallucination from the AI. In turn, they had to pay back the government, I think, 40 million US dollars.
I know the company.
You know, company. How do you, what did they get wrong, firstly? Um, in the settings perhaps, or in how they integrated the AI tools, and how are you guys mitigating such risks?
There's a couple of things that go wrong. First of all, hallucinations basically happens when, for example, outcomes are wrong or are not what you expected. But
Yeah.
in this case, you've got a lot of sentences that are out of context. Um, Having said that, hallucinations are a property on these models. There's no model that is perfect. Models are there to just provide guidance. And in my view, the first mistake here is over-reliance on technology, which is a very common problem. I think when ChatGPT was launched, we actually created this over expectation from these models because when you just look at them, the words, they're very grammatically correct. They actually human, and they can confuse you to think they actually make sense. And therefore, you need to approach them from the fact that they're a tool and the human being is a decision maker.
Right.
Um, but at F&B, for example, the area I look at, I told you, we generate over 220 forensic reports. One forensic report could be 300 pages. So something that used to take days to do, now
Right.
takes less than a minute. But it starts at the onset. Make sure you're using AI for the right reason, for the right purpose. The second part, understand the limitations of it. And part of the limitations is having what we call human in the loop, but defining that as where people come in and validate what AI has done and let people sign up. I think a lot of organizations are going through that. Beyond that company, we've seen a lot of pharmaceutical company, in America, kick out some of the generative AI tools because they're basically creating more work. Now we have
Right.
10 time fixing errors. But in this particular instance, um, this organization, I think they should have proofread these reports. They should have make sure define the future, the role of people in making sure they understand the output, knowing that AI's role was to just aggregate information and people have to use it, structure it, and make sure they sign it off.
So, I first heard you speak a year ago at the same event, and your book was in sale. I read your book since then. As we've come across, this is your second one. I want to ask you. First question would be, how are you framing when you talk about African AI? Maybe tell us a little bit how you're framing that, and maybe what the pillars of that framing would be. Some of those would be data sovereignty, and what other pillars would you maybe clump under that?
So when I was reflecting so much on the role of AI, I realized AI's impact is massive. It doesn't have a passive input. AI's role is redefining geopolitics. It's redefining the future of work. It's helping build new industries of the future. It's helping drive economies. It's helping attract talent. And as a continent, we lose talent so much because people need mature environments to work space. So I thought, and I said, Africa cannot approach adopting AI passively. And when I say passively, is the consuming mentality, or where you have problems, you say, okay, let's go to another continent, let's import. The value of AI comes from what you do with it and how much you do with it. And what you do with it are the problems and opportunities. Africa has unique opportunities. Our problems, if you rank them, we've got challenges in the health sector, and if we go there, our inefficiencies are unique. If you look at some of like the energy sector, the problems we have are very different, but also the opportunities we have are unique. Then, and more importantly, the way the building blocks of AI, from the type of data to solve for these problems, the type of structure required, the way we upskill people, the ethical and responsible considerations to become unique. And that is construct of African artificial intelligence. And my plea to leaders is that let's approach adoption so that AI can work for us and help create this unique value that Africa has. And you can't do that when you approach it from a technology perspective, as from a value perspective. And that's what I call African area.
Gotcha. Understood.
Interesting. So for one to extract or to bring value forward, there would have been a lot of R&D done in understanding the problems that essentially would then unearth this value. Is there enough R&D in AI in Africa?
Not just R&D.
Yeah.
Identifying the opportunities.
Right.
And that's the dirty side of AI that you don't like. If you think about this, if you're a company and you want to automate inefficiencies, no one knows about your inefficiencies. They lie in your processes, they lie in your expenditure. Go in there and look for that. As a country, our government should say, where can we become more efficient? Where can we help people become effective? Right? You see, it's important to identify the right areas where AI will play the role, because even R&D must be done on the right opportunity. Because you give people, students, researchers, wrong problems to spend time on, you're wasting resources.
100%.
Yeah, so that part people don't like. The AI I look up to it can be one of the reasons we mature. It's not because we don't know how to use technology, but we use technology in areas that are a priority for the risk business.
Would you say we're thinking about AI in the wrong way? Both from creators of the technology to the consumers of the technology. Do you find that the general thinking around AI, how to build and what to build it for, and how to consume and what to consume it for, do you find that on these two sides, are we thinking about it the right way?
I think when I reflect on the MIT report that was released a few months ago, that found out only 5% of organizations across the world have evidence of tangible revenue being created from AI.
5%.
5%. So, and I will paint for you a picture of actually what is happening.
Huh.
And it summarizes what you say. We're not thinking about it the right way. There's 4 areas that define why we're thinking about it the wrong way. One,
Okay.
we've not approached it from a value conversation. We need to approach it from what, where, and how AI is going to help us. Where are those opportunities that AI will play in it? The second part is that AI is about processes, systems, and how organizations create values. And I want to be a bit controversial. Go for it. There's lots of use cases, POCs happening. Those are killing organizations. Those have become experiments, and then you show off. Oh, but this thing is working. It's nice. There's now a shift, a big shift. I read an article yesterday that say use cases are dying.
Oh,
Because use cases do not help transform organizations from end to end. They're a demonstration that AI can work.
right.
What you need to do is transform how processes work.
Cool.
So instead of saying we worked on a project that helped us prove that AI or a large language model can do this effectively, you should say we helped transform the way we market products.
Interesting.
So you've transformed the transformation. But transformation is not just about technology.
Yeah.
It's about people.
Right.
Because transformation also means people are doing things differently. It's about now having data intelligence. It's about making sure you measure people's productivity in a totally different way.
That's scary.
So do you think we're getting it right?
Of course not.
Think about it. It's not easy. Becoming AI driven is difficult. It's maybe the most difficult transformation we have. But you see, what we're seeing now is that we have a few that are getting it right, including empowering people, humanizing, approaching. Those will be who have a chance tomorrow to join the talk. I'll be talking about human-centered, design solutions that work, and empowering people, upskilling them, but also driving strategies that will measure outcome. But AI works.
It does. It does. It does work.
But
It does work.
the way we've approached this, I think,
It's problematic.
especially for us small economies, we're
Right.
not very good price.
So is this a function of time? And I think I asked the same question to someone else. But in this case, in this sense, it almost sounds like you're explaining startups. It looks like the industry is only at proof of concept. It's like the industry has just built MVPs at this point. They have built models that say this thing work. They haven't gotten to the point where they actually have a product where they can go market. I build an MVP. I've proven that this thing works. Now I actually have the thing that works, not the model that I created and I convinced you on. If that's the view across the industry, is it a matter of time, and how much time is there for in the industry to move from proof of concepts to actually creating products?
Organizations that are mature in AI do not think about proof of concepts. That is entry to the process of creating value. And unfortunately, we thought so much about AI in the past 3 years in relation to how amazing language looked like from generative AI tools. But that's just 1% or a small percentage of the building block. To actually engineer value, it takes more than that. It takes more than that. And it takes a collective approach of transforming organizations so that AI can transform how things are done. It's not about AI working, it's about AI transforming how things are done. The industry is not realizing AI value as expected. The industry created a bubble of expected AI value. And it's not there, unfortunately. So what we're seeing is what I described in my first book, AI washing.
AI?
Washing.
Okay.
So we got a bunch of organizations or even technology companies or vendors create this perceptive extrapolated value from POCs. So you do a small POC, a data scientist runs an experiment in the lab and they show AI can do 90% of this and save time. Then that becomes a value that is being published. It's not real value. I mean, when value should be measured from an experience perspective, not from technology. So if we use, say, we call it digital way of processing documents, that should be the only way. And we should not even be talking hours. Of course, you do it faster because the process is different. If we talk about taking away manual processes, it should even reflect on the cost of services, because the costs have become cheaper. You don't need to convince me that I'm using AI. You don't need to convince a user.
Right.
And this is the thing. I always tell people, you see, we human beings like the technical and shiny aspect of technology. There's no customer or shareholder that is interested in the technical aspect. They're interested in the value. Today, when you take your smartphone, it's about what it can do for. It's not about, oh, I think there's neural networks and large language models, but there's no hallucination. No. It's either doing it well or it's not doing it well. That's as simple as that value conversation.
When you look at sort of national AI policy, How are you approaching that for the government? Surely it's a little, you're trying to take it a little bit further beyond efficiencies, or how are you thinking about it in terms of like a national policy?
So I was very honored to be part of um, uh, the group of individuals that were selected to help advise the government on how we should strategically approach AI.
Okay.
And these are very smart people in the country, in the lab. So Kosi, RT, Lavina Rapkison, Tapio Chiwewe, remember the names are so many.
Right.
Yeah. And the way we approached it, and the stream I looked after was to recommend an approach of identifying the right areas. And some of those areas could be efficiency, it could be changing the way people work, but essentially approaching AI adoption while also having socioeconomic considerations on the role of AI. And this is important because, one, we've got one of the highest unemployment rates. And one of the recommendations is, listen, let's identify all sectors and rank them collectively on where the value should quickly come from, but also look for where AI augments people rather than take away jobs. Do you know why that's important? Because think about an example I've always used, the petrol industry. There's a reason why we've got petrol attendants.
Right.
It's semi-digital because you still need the person to have a job.
Right.
But someone could have made a bad decision and say, listen, let's make it self-service.
Right.
Then what do the 18,000, 19,000 petrol attendants do? But we have so many opportunities for augmented AI that could help boost the way we make decisions. It could be a bridge of upskilling people. Remember, we still also have challenges in the education area.
Yeah.
So that becomes a way of teaching people how to work with technology. You don't have to have everyone go to university, to go to a technical institution to learn about AI, but they can learn to work with technology, and we're good at that. People learn themselves. Today, we can navigate through our very complex technology, smartphones and computers without, having rigorous courses. People can work with technology, and people have natural intelligence that can navigate these systems. So implement them, and then that becomes a bridge towards preparing them to drive discovery of new things in the future.
Right.
We're not short of AI scientists. In fact, I think we're one of the biggest exporters because we don't know how to use them.
Right. Right.
But what happens is when you have this trend, all companies now want the same people. But I do think shortage, resources and skills should be measured from a productivity perspective, not from the fact that we cannot get them.
I think those petrol attendants you're speaking about will soon lose their job, much like the tellers lost their job to automatic ATMs.
It's a lot, tell us. And
Yeah.
I can tell you one thing is, again, technology companies are learning that technology has limitations. I can give you more than 10 examples where people thought you're going to get rid of people and the employment will provide them back because things like chatbots will not solve their problems. And if when I look at what's happening, this technology is actually making us appreciate humanity.
Oh,
It is.
how so?
There's a company in Europe, Plana. It's a very famous case. I can talk about it. It goes online.
Mecca.
They implemented chatbots. It's a finance company thinking, and then they thought, let's get rid of people. Because these chatbots are gonna do everything. It went. The chatbot went round and round in conversations. They realized that, listen, we need people.
Right.
Not people back.
Right.
Because there's only up to a certain extent that is optimized.
Yeah.
We've got, I think, one of the tech companies decided to build a chatbot for HR. Same to storage. Today, coding is a very, very predominant business. Let me tell you something. Coding is a very easy use case because, with coding, you don't need to actually generate data from outside the system. The instructions, that's right, that generates its code itself, data itself. But the technologies we have cannot handle complex aspects of coding, especially when you have to code it for how an organization creates value, pipe a lot of data together, human data. It has limitations.
Yeah.
And so organizations are either creating a perception that they are using AI, generative AI to create coding, but they're also spending so much time fixing it, there's no efficiency. Others are just getting so many mistakes with AI generative code. There's a very, I'm not taking away generative AI value of coding. It helps, but up to a certain limitation. Of course. So we're learning the hard way through mistakes that we still need people in the value chain. We still need people to help discover the next big idea and the next big idea.
Do you think governments can implement it properly to deliver value? Service delivery, the whole 9 yards, to improve the lives of their people. Can governments implement AI technologies to do this? And I ask this in the sense, you speak a lot about value. You have to think first about value. And I think as a bank, that's very clear. You have a persona, you have different personas that you're dealing with. Your customer is very clear, and the need of your customer is very clear, well researched. And when you implement the system against that data set, it's very clear what value you need to deliver to your customer. In the case of governments, what data are they going to use? Do they have such refined data such that when you implement the systems, that value is clearly delivered to the customer?
Government has a lot of data. There's a lot of data on how it provides services.
Is it clean?
It doesn't have to be clean. Corporate companies don't have clean data either. But a part of developing AI and using it is cleaning it and so it's usable. I think what we should be talking about is making AI a priority and having a strategy that clearly defines where AI will help government. That's what is missing. Look, at the beginning of this year, Donald Trump put together a couple organizations, including corporate, and put together a $500 billion volume to make sure America is not left behind.
500 billion?
Euro, 200 billion. China, trillions of dollars. Put together regulations and strategies. What is common? Two things. These countries I'm talking about are leading. And they're leading from the fact that they committed resources to making sure AI not only plays a role, but they also want to grab the AI future. The second part, they've established guidelines and principles for public-private sector partnerships, where they share capabilities to make sure that they can drive efficiencies within government, they can drive effectiveness, they can come up with ideas that solve societal challenges, they can reduce overdependence. Unless that is not sorted, it's not about the capabilities that there's data, there's problems to solve. Unless you're telling us we're very efficient.
Well, in delivering value to your customers, yes, you are. You wouldn't.
You're talking about government.
Well, government is very efficient.
Yes, but AI can.
Only SARS is. Other departments aren't.
But social problems, we can automate the way customers access products and services, the way they interact with government to, to access grants and things like that. But we can also learn from the likes of Dubai. And example, this Smart Dubai program measures its value through the Sustainable Development Goals, which are basically social domains that represent problems that install poverty, education, the environment, things like that.
Yeah. And back to the question Scott asked earlier around policy and regulation from government perspective. Are we regulating enough? Are you happy with the way that government is regulating in this space?
We're happy government is involved, and we're seeing traces of collaboration and partnerships. I do think we need agency.
Okay.
So today we've got policies. We don't have a clearly defined strategy
Mm.
because that strategy defines the types of policies you put in place. Also, policies define what we should rely on external providers. Today we are the biggest shopper of everything. Also, um, remember we don't have very big economies
Mm.
to do everything. We need a strategy to say these are the 5 areas you must focus on. Other areas will benefit from the 5 areas.
Right.
But
Right.
there is no country that has done everything. America's strategy is very clear and it's very focused. China is very focused. You go to Europe, Singapore, Canada, the pan-Canadian strategy is very focused on what Canada wants to be. Who do we want to be
Mm.
in an AI-enabled future? Because who we want to be is what will define the types of policies that protect that help guide the roadmap and have and commit the types of upskilling we need to put in place. How will people work
Mm.
in an AI-enabled education sector? How will doctors work? So I was doing a bit of research while I was preparing for my talk. Johns Hopkins University today has reduced the amount of time it takes for patients to wait for a bed by 30%.
By 30%.
By 30%. And so the turnaround times of seeing patients is actually high. Now, this is the other stat that I was shocked.
Mm.
That since implementing AI, the profits in the hospital have shot up by 15%.
Wow.
Okay, it's not about them praying for people to be sick,
Of course.
but it's just that they're seeing more patients, the turnaround times are high. That's the type of efficiency we need.
Efficiency is good for business.
Exactly. Now, but think about this. Imagine having a healthier nation,
Mm.
productivity,
Right.
um, uh, you know, uh, the ability to have everyone take part in economy, non-passion. It becomes a totally different future.
Yeah. Different ball game.
Exactly.
Interesting. Interesting.
There's actually quite a lot we could get into, man. Yeah, we've probably kept you a little while, eh? Yeah.
Well, before we let you go to your books, the first book you wrote,
African artificial intelligence. We touched on it. It's more about what are those opportunities that I make, remember, in Africa. But you see, AI's role goes beyond just being efficient or just being effective. Because those are the new ways of doing things if you think about it. Soon we're going to have citizens of AI. In other words, every person will work with an intelligent system or a digital system, make smart decisions.
right.
But AI has got the impact on geopolitics. It's a driver of geopolitics. Today, America and China are fighting for this AI race,
Mm.
which is actually not about the technology,
But
but
later.
what the technology will do.
Right.
AI is driving national security and intelligence. It's a driver of solving social problems. It's a technology that is defining whether you attract talent or they leave. It's a technology that is driving manufacturing of the future.
Mm.
So I looked 9 out of the top 10 highest investors in AI are the same countries that are 9 out of the top 10 manufacturers for a time. So they're not looking at AI as a driver of innovation, or they're looking as a technology that will drive the next frontier of manufacturing. That's why we're now talking about AI factories. And because of that, it becomes important for a nation to not just think about AI from a consumption perspective, but to control the value chain of AI development and implementation. And that's what is some AI.
Right.
So this book is about guiding leaders and everyday person to understand what will it take to create the new industries, to control this technology. And when I say control, it's not a bad thing. You get respect when you control your territory, but collaborate in the construct of controlling the money. The data we're talking about as a resource represents culture.
Right.
It represents policies, it represents plans. And we missed out on a lot of industrialization. For example, we produce gold. I think Botswana produces diamond.
It does.
It's not processed here.
No.
But the process of processing it drives development of infrastructure.
Yeah.
It creates jobs because you need people to drive manufacturing, right? And we end up buying the same products at a higher price.
Right.
So you sell it, the raw resource at a cheap, you buy it expensive. That's what's going to happen with data. But more importantly, we need to think about this is that we don't want a digital death.
A digital
death or even AI death where someone, for some reason, whether it's intentional or unintentional, can decide to switch off AI services. So imagine if you have AI power in hospitals, education centers, and someone says, hey, listen, either do this or we're going to cut off these services. We don't need to use our cloud.
That's bad.
It's happened already.
Is this country?
Many times. It's happened. And that's a reality why you need to be independent.
Right.
Collaborate independently. Partner independently.
Right.
Focusing on priorities that make us become who we want to be with the help of technology.
Is that where you speak of the lack of strategy after the policy?
So the strategy is a leading block.
Right.
Yeah. It's intention. It's who we want to be. Areas of focus.
Right.
Where resources will be. The strategy determines the type of policy.
Right.
Because you see that the AI comes with lots of risks.
It does.
And you can't have a blanket approach to risk management. You need focus.
You
need to say, listen, we're going to focus on agriculture, energy, education, health, transport. The risks in these areas are very unique. So you need to make sure you build policies that are relevant to that. How will people work? Type of data that must be maintained. Who's responsible for that? How do you protect it?
Shush.
It's very different. Central Africa might say, we want mining, agriculture, and other industries that might be different. Means their policies might be a bit different.
Right.
To the concept, but also the cultural aspects of how AI, cultural and ethical aspects of how AI affects or manifests itself into where it's being applied in these areas.
The economy of extraction has been in Africa for the longest of time. I mean, you just made the point now with the extraction of minerals, processed elsewhere, brought back as products, and we have to buy. In that way, we are not participating fairly in the values of those minerals. And the same trend is also emerging with AI tools, because there's AI tools from outside the country are here mining data. They take the data, they create products off of the data that we've generated, and they sell those products back. As part of the strategy that we need to put in place, back to your point about the value chain, how important is data centers and the ownership of the data on that strategy or as part of that value chain?
So data centers are just infrastructure that store data. But when we talk about sovereignty, it's controlling that value chain. So we need policies, not to just store it. And not just say we store in the cloud. The cloud is someone else's company.
100%.
We must make sure that ownership of data is defined, but data should also be aligned to what is there it's going to be used. The risks must be outlined upfront. We must enter contracts with service providers and external providers in a construct that the value chain is here. We plan it. Certain information mustn't flow out. And this is where we sell intelligence now. So instead of us exporting raw data and someone uses it to create marketing models and offer products to people. We should do that here and sell intelligence.
100%.
So we sell them in the form of AI tokens.
Mm.
And if every industry does that, we create an ecosystem of sovereign AI. Now, Africa has got the youngest population in the world. In other words, in the next 10, 15 years, we're going to have the highest proportion of consumers of digital intelligence. So we have a market. So how about we produce and use our own market the same way China is doing?
Right.
And you drive modernization.
Hmm.
And create policies so that consumption happens.
Right. Right.
So you protect the value you create.
Sheesh. We're going to have to leave it there. We've got loads to think about, though.
Yeah. I mean, this conversation can just go on forever. But unfortunately, you have places and other lectures to present.
But I would love to, in the near future, maybe have another sit down for the show and just explore these issues a little bit deeper. Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely, and I'll be honored. We need to diffuse this knowledge. That's
Right. Right.
I think we got a lot of smart people who are trying so much to make sure we influence everything positively. But you see, if it's not democratized, then we sit in silos of knowledge that do not have impact unless they're converted.
100%.
But we are responsible for how the future will turn out.
Yeah.
And we must make those decisions so that we have a legacy that is fruitful and that's abundance going forward.
We're being disturbed by RoboDog.
I'm telling you. If someone wants to buy your books, how do they get hold of you? Where do we buy the books?
Yeah, so the books are available at all exclusive bookstores.
Okay.
They put the ebook available
Okay.
on the Google ebook, as well as a lot of other ebook sites in Europe, America. You can get the order copy on Take a Lot on Amazon.co.za. And got local sites like Loot when you can send in the book. But book is available. It's being sold very fast, I'm told.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
2 bookstores that are sold out already.
Okay.
And so far looking for the book. We not officially launched the book. We want to make sure the busy period and no matter
Right.
what.
Right. Dr. Nasila,
Thank you so much for your time.
thank you so much for making the time to chat to us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
For the opportunity.
Has been the Angle Podcast. Please do like, subscribe, and share on social media platforms. And go.